Hello everyone. In this series I'm going to show you from start to finish how we can create a portfolio website. We're just going to do this purely in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. There are other like real popular frameworks. There's a lot of tools you can use. However, this is also intended to give you an introduction to web development at its most basic form. From here you can expand off into more advanced frameworks, but let's just keep it simple. And hopefully you'll learn a lot about the basics of web development from this. So the first thing I always do when I have a new project is I have a dedicated space on my computer for my programming work. You know, you might have games and other stuff going on, so it's important to keep things organized. So I have a folder called programming, and inside of that I have websites, and then I have the folder specifically for this example website that I'm creating called my portfolio page. And right now it's got nothing in it. And then in Visual Studio Code, which is a very important tool, you don't have to use it, but it's going to be very helpful to use Visual Studio Code because first of all, it's available for Mac, Linux, PC, doesn't matter. Second, it has a lot of extensions, things that help you to make your code look better, things that help you out quite a bit. It's not a requirement for this, but you'll see me using it, and you'll see how much it helps with the process. So inside of this folder, now I have access to my folder here. I can create a file, and the file is going to be called index.html. Now this is actually creating the file in the folder. So you can see if I go back to just the folder, the index.html is there. So one of the benefits to using this Visual Studio Code is that I have access to be able to add or delete files right here in the Explorer. Now let's talk about the basic template of HTML. So the basic template of HTML looks like this. It starts off with doc type, and you'll actually see Visual Studio Code trying to help us out here. It says, hey, I know you're creating a new website. Why don't we throw that in there? So doc type HTML. Now this is just informing your web browser if it gets this file to say, hey, I'm going to treat this as HTML. Now, most web browsers will figure it out even if this line isn't there, but it's just commonplace to use this and just help your browser out a little bit. Now, the way that HTML code looks is it has these kind of open bracket, then some content, then a closed bracket. So this is called an element. This is an HTML element, and this HTML element happens to be called HTML. And what this is saying is, this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. So anything that goes in between here is going to be contained within this HTML tag. It's basically letting your browser know all this stuff inside here needs to be treated as HTML. Now inside of HTML there are two parts that we want to create. One is the head and one is the body. And we open those tags and close those tags. Now the head contains things generally that are not seen on the actual website in the browser. For example, I can put things like a title here on my portfolio page. And this will appear at the top in our web browser. It'll appear in the title area, but it won't actually appear in the actual content of the website. Inside the body, this is the stuff that we actually want to appear on our website. So I'm just going to say hello world here. And I'm going to save all this. You'll notice it kind of got realigned here just to make it look better. I have this extension called Prettier right here. So if you go to your extensions and you search for Prettier, I believe this is the one that I use. Yep, this is definitely the one that I use. It's the most popular one. Just install this, and it should, if it's active, it should help you. It'll kind of show that it's active down here, and it'll just kind of help you to see your code on the website. Or sorry, it'll help to clean up your code, make it look better. So for example, if I just put stuff like this, it'll fix it so that it's organized how it should be and it's as readable as possible. And it's just a very nice tool to have to kind of clean up your code and also to teach you how it's supposed to look. So when you don't have access to this tool, you'll still know how things are supposed to look generally. You'll notice convention has us tabbing the stuff that's inside. So there's kind of a hierarchy, right? So we call this the parent element. So the parent element, for example, in this case is the HTML element. And then there's two child elements of that, the head element and the body element. And then the title is a child element of the head element, which is, the parent. So there's sort of this child-parent thing going on. And the child should generally be tabbed inside of the parent so that you can kind of see the hierarchy. You can see that these are kind of sibling elements because they're both at the same level in the hierarchy in relation to HTML. The title is beyond. So this is sort of how we structure our HTML code to make it look good. Now, how do I open this? Well, a few different ways, pretty simple. One way is I actually close that folder down. So let me do this. If you right click on this, you can actually reveal the file in File Explorer. Now, if I just double click this, it'll actually open it in my web browser here. As you can see, hello world. You can also see up at the top here, the title, my portfolio page. Just opens it right up in there. That's pretty cool. However, we can also run a server, I believe. See if we can figure out how to do that. We'll say server here, live server, and launch a development local server with live reload feature for static and dynamic pages. So I installed that, and it's actually right here. Click to run on the live server. If I go back to this and I go live, it does the same exact thing. It creates a web port for me on this port 5500 on 127.0.0, but it's just opening the same thing. It's opening the same website, and just treating it like a website. So in this case, you see the file path is actually to where it is on my computer. This is a local server, so this isn't on the internet. You can't just send someone this URL and have them navigate to it. This is still local to your computer, but it's running as a server, and there's some benefits to running it with a server. And one of the things that I like about this is when I make a change here, I say hello Dan, I just save and it automatically updates over here. This one did not update. This one I have to hit refresh and then it will update. This one I didn't have to do anything and it just updated on its own. It's just a nice way of being able to quickly adjust your website. Another thing you'll notice that I do a lot when I'm coding is I will put my window over here with my website and I'll put my code over here. And sometimes I'll keep the Explorer open if I have a lot of files going on. Sometimes I'll close it down so you can drag it over and close it so I have more space here. We can also sort of push this one this way and this one this way, or vice versa, just to give ourselves some more space. Now there's kind of a shortcut key to do this on Windows. I'm not sure about how on Mac to do this, but on Windows I can hold the Windows key and press the left arrow, and then I let go of the Windows key and it's going to tell me which other one do you want to use, and I want to use this one right here. So I have my left arrow and then I have this stuff, and then that's it. Now with these both selected, I can drag them both at the same time. Actually, you can see I can mouse over the middle and sort of drag them both around. So this is a good way of sort of resizing when I'm using this window separator thing. Anyway, this is a very basic introduction, and obviously if you're on a different system, there's going to be some different ways to do this. However, you should be able to use Visual Studio Code, you should be able to use Prettier, and you should be able to use the live server extension as well. So before you move on with the next one, make sure you can get a basic website going and loaded on a live server using the live server feature or extension in VS Code. And I'll continue this in the next one.